What's good, everybody? It's your boy Big Nate. Welcome back to Big Nate's Book Reviews, home of the best book reviews. And today marks a historic episode because for the first time, I've been living here for 4 years, and by the end of the month, I will be up out of here. I'll be out of Oregon, back to wherever I'm going. So, and it was sort of a spontaneous thing. I wasn't planning on moving out this quick, but I'll get into all that. But basically, long story short, I've been clearing out all my bookshelves, and I've been in the process. Oh, you can't see actually, but I got 2 big boxes of books right here. And it occurred to me, I'm like, I should do a little goodbye tour, a little farewell tour where I like unpack all my stuff. Because I realized while I was going through them, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this book. And I started thinking about it and like leafing through it. I'm like, actually, I'm gonna leave that one out. So like, I was like, you know what, I might as well just do that whole process with you guys. So first, before we do anything, obviously you already know what it is. We're gonna spark, not the doobie, same thing, sparking the doobie spiritually. So let's just get that out the way right quick. And then I'll break down to you what happened or like why I'm leaving. So really at the end of there was one catalyst event, but the thing that that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But what the rest of the camel's back consists of is basically, well, for one, I live in a basement. The rent is like relatively cheap, but a basement, so there's like not much lighting. It's a little musty, but that's cool. That ain't nothing. However, what is something, actually, I don't even really, there's rats. So yes, I've had rats for like 4 years. They get into my food. We have to like every winter or so, I forget what season it is. They're kind of always around. You just got to box shit up and whatever. That's cool. I'm kind of used to living with rats at this point. Rats don't bother me so much, but although it is nasty when you open up that pantry and there's fucking rat shit everywhere. Okay. This is perhaps TMI, but I'm just letting you know right off the rip. This has been going on for a minute, but hey, that rent, you can't, that rent is priceless. Rat poop, that can get vacuumed. You know what can't get vacuumed? Rent. So, okay, so anyway, that's cool. But what really did it, or like what kind of did it, was the flies. There's like I don't know when it started, but at some point there were like just swarms of like big fat ass horse flies just like swarming my house. And like, I'm talking dozens, and I'm killing them all day. There's still dozens, they just don't. Anyway, we had a whole, cause this fool would refuse to call fucking pest control and wouldn't even let me get like a zapper. I'm not even gonna get into it. But so okay, flies, rats, yes, basement, whatever. But what really happened is, and I've explained this story so many times, I'm basically over it. The extremely short version is, she goes out. There's some homeless people around there. She brings a bat over there. They take it, they threaten her, she throws hot tea on them. Next thing you know, I wake up, what's that noise I hear? And it's 3 of my tires got slashed because of her antics. So, and another neighbor and her own got tired. Okay, they slashed one of the neighbors, one of hers, 3 of mine got slashed. You wanna make that make sense? You wanna make that make sense? You can't. So, and then on top of that, so okay, and then I'm trying to get her like, hey, you want to help out a little bit? Low-key, this was kind of, you didn't directly cause it, but you indirectly caused. If A causes B and B causes C, then by the transit of property, A causes C. I should have hit her up with that irrefutable logic. She couldn't have. But anyway, blah 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 blah. Anyway, she agrees to pay like $300, and we're not even going to talk about where we got that figure. It was wrong. She said she would pay half of it. That was not half of what that cost. This fool calls Discount Tire. They shouldn't even have given that shit out, but they give her like my entire invoice, and she calls me about my invoice and starts cursing me out in the middle of a work day about talking about like, I'm not even gonna give you would need too much context, but she crossed the line a couple times, not to mention fucking rat poop, flies. Man, I'm up out of here. So anyway, that happened, but it happened suddenly, and so anyway, like I already gave the breakdown. So I'm cleaning out my bookshelves, and without further ado, let's get up into my other room and let's do it. Okay, so this is one of my bookshelves up in my room. I'm actually sitting on the bed. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I think I got a whole system right here. I'm gonna go boom, boom, keep, unkeep, and then we're finna go right into it. So let's go. Okay, so we got hella books to talk about. So okay, first, we got, I think I did do a little video about this. Yeah, and actually this, related to this Francis Bacon thing, I've actually, there's a book, I might talk about it soon. It's up in the other room, but it's like an interview. It's actually kind of Joseph Campbell style, like that with The Power of Myth, like sort of like the big picture book. And it's also an interview with Francis Bacon and I don't know who, but I'm just kind of connecting the dots that's the same author. And I really enjoyed that book. I'll talk more about it later, but there's a lot of interesting stuff there. And then Hieronymus Bosch. Honestly, I haven't got into these too much, but so maybe I should leave it out. I don't know. We'll see. Look at that. Bro's crazy. Bro's a menace for that. So, yeah, I don't know actually. Because, I was going to say too, Some of the books I kind of want to keep on hand. There's some that might just go like, you know, storage status, and then some that I like. Basically if there's a chance I might like read them in the next soon, I'm gonna leave it out. The interpretation of dream. Oh, also this is like, this stack is like my it's like my meditation, maybe psychoanalysis. Oh fuck. Stack. You'll see. There's kind of like a theme to, at least for these right here. There's kind of a theme to them. This I'll leave out because I'm gonna do a book review on this at some point. I finished this whole book, and some parts are better than others. Let me tell you. We'll have a whole conversation about the interpretation of dreams. It's both genius and absurd at the same time. So, yeah, I got a lot of thoughts on this. But so I'll leave that out. Zen Mind, Beginner Mind, The Enlightened Heart, The Wholehearted Way. All of these are kind of just meditation books. A lot of these books too, like for instance, right here, Rainbow Painting by Tulke Urgyen Rinpoche. Like I'd be getting halfway through them and then I stop. More so even to a testament to the fact that, because you know how the perennial knowledge I talk about a lot, that these different cultures and traditions are writing about the same thing, but it's like honestly it's getting a little, not old because that makes it sound bad, but I just need to switch it up. So those are all, yeah, more Vivid Awareness, The Supreme Soul. I had a phase, you can tell, of The Supreme Source, The Cycle of Day and Night. I actually just reread this, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Or no, it's a different Dzogchen book, but actually no, this is the one I read. I remember Bro's funny ass face. But so that, and then okay, so this was actually just all meditation, mindfulness, food for the heart. And like I said, I've actually read a good portion of a lot of these books, and they're all really good. Maybe I should like talk about them more specifically, but this was a whole phase of my life and definitely changed like my own life and like my values and stuff. This whole thing right there. So, okay, this is the one I read. Okay, Dzogchen. Is this the same guy? Hold on. Oh no, they both. Chogyal Namki Norbu, Namkai Norbu, and then this is Chogyal. Oh, would you look at that? Bro is bro. That's bro right there. Okay, cool. So, boom. We can just, yeah, I'll just put all those there. I've talked about this book at some point, African mythology. This is like my mythology stack, like I said. Really my Joseph Campbell stack as well. Myths to Live By. See, this one I have so many books to read. Can you believe there's a book called Myths to Live By the Joseph Campbell himself, and I have not read it. So, but here, like I said, I want to give that my full time. This is from his whole series that he did. I have 3 of the 4, and I want the Penguin edition of the 4th one. Oriental Mythology, I think, is the one I'm missing. Primitive Mythology, Creative Mythology. Oh no, that's Oriental Mythology. So I honestly forget what the 4th one is, but I would know it. Also, fire covers. Boom. So that's, you know, it's JC. JC is certified fire. Okay. Sigmund Freud, The Uncanny. I talked about that. I'll have a full-length discussion about this as well. But yeah, shout out, you know, like I said, Freud is at the same time just like absolutely ridiculous, but then truly, you know, the word honestly kind of is genius. He has some like fundamental insights in psychology. That's why you learn about him still. Haven't read this, but I did a book called at some point, The Ego and the Id. He's a good writer too. That's something you got to give him. Like at least rhetorically and literarily, he at his best he's good. Sometimes actually, come to think of it, sometimes he's just downright terrible. But most of the time he's got like the rhetoric going for him. So, but yeah, I don't plan on visiting those soon. The Greek Myths by what's bro's name? Oh yeah, it's like someone that's crazy. Hold on. Robert Graves, who also did, oh shoot, I forget. Let me know in the comments. Robert Graves is famous for doing something else that was not related to mythology. Because I remember seeing it, I'm like, whoa, wait, is that the same? And it was. But I can't remember now what it was. So, anyway, yeah, because I got pretty, I don't know, yeah, 165 pages into this book and like taking notes and shit. The thing is, it's not story-like at all. It's more like an academic reporting. Sometimes there is a little bit of story. That's just the name of the game. But it's not one of those things that is like a page turner. It's like but I mean, the information is still really interesting too. And that's just how I feel. Maybe others would disagree. But okay, got my water, and so I'm hydrated. And I'm thinking I might as well just, while I'm at it, I might as well just hit this one more time. I got my window open right here, don't worry. Oh, bro, nice. I got coffee still, let's go. Cold coffee kind of hits different. I don't know, I actually like it still, but okay. More mythology stuff, like, you know, I think I've talked about a lot of these books too. Tales of Polynesia, more mythology. I definitely did a haul with that at some point. Oh, creative mythology. I already have a copy of that, I guess. I think this is just a cool cover as well, and maybe I might have got this before I decided I wanted to collect that whole series. So, Memories, Dreams, Reflections. Yeah, Memories, Dreams, Reflections by Carl Jung. Haven't read. That's what I'm saying, dude. So many books that I haven't read. It's crazy. Like, I should have been on this. Like, this is one of his biggest books, and I fuck with Jung heavily, as you will know if you follow this channel. Which you should smash that subscribe and that like and drop a comment. Man and His Symbols. I'm gonna probably do a review of this at some point. The first chapter, yeah, okay, good, perfect. This is The Undiscovered Self by Carl Jung. A very short. It's really like a long essay. This book is basically chapter 1 of this book, which I think is absolutely like brilliant. The rest is good. It's like his apprentice, his intellectual disciples and stuff, and it's still really good and there's great insights, but the first one just hits super hard. He's just like, you reading it, it's just like, bro is just speaking straight facts. But the things he's talking about is like spirituality and the nature of like the unconscious and like, you know, our shadow stuff and psychoanalysis basically in the mind. But that stuff doesn't get treated seriously nowadays. The spirit in man, art, and literature. And I've read a couple essays here, including like a really good one on art. Yeah, he talks about like the introverted, extroverted aspects of art, where there's some people where it's like the extroversion idea, or maybe it was the introversion idea, but it's like he talks about it where like George Orwell has this quote, or was it Orson Welles? I always get those confused. But basically like a novel is like a disease, and it's just like something that you have to get expunged and like you have to purge yourself of it. But it's like something that he says like infects, or you could say in this case like possesses you. And then anyway, okay, I won't even go on to it, but really interesting shit actually about art, just the nature of art and artists, and also with relation to psychoanalysis. So that's Carl Jung. The Inner Reaches of Outer Space. Again, how have I not read this? It's like the blend. I mean, if the cover is any indication, it's the blend, the intersection between science and mythology, which is like really something I'm interested in right now. So it's just crazy I haven't read it. I don't know. Who knows? I don't. Metaphor as myth and as religion. So I don't know how much science is actually in here. That kind of part is actually kind of important to me, but whatever. It's Joseph Campbell. Probably gonna be sick. So let's see what we got next. Oh, this is gonna take a minute. All right, so let's see what we got here. This, whatever, popular science book, The Square in the Tower. These are like textbooks, basically. Actually, that's not true. So these two are basically textbooks. What is this? Mathematics of biology, and I think it does biomechanics as well. And then comparative neuropsychology, which is probably like across species, I would have to assume. Yeah. So I bought these because I'm like, there's a great Schopenhauer quote where it's like, people mistake getting the acquisition of books as actually consuming their contents. How I read a page of these, actually maybe a couple, but the thing is, it comes back to a theme of or like something I've talked about at least, is whenever I try to do this shit, I just get stuck at the math and the physics. I just don't know that shit, and I've done it too many and I've tried to learn it independently. It's just not happening, and that's why I'm going back to school for at least math and physics as well, mandatory. So it's shit like this. So it would be cool for instance for me to come back to these books now that I could actually like maybe understand them. I'm in Calc 1, so I got a ways to go, and I haven't taken any physics, so let me know if anyone's actually taken that or had experience with that. I'll take any advice. Okay, so here we have A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. I don't know. I hear it's okay. Well, first it's winner of the Pulitzer Prize. Part of the reason I got this too is because a friend of mine, he and his dad had read it, and they both like really liked it, and his dad put me on to Vonnegut. So I'm like, okay, bro, it's probably, and he quite liked it. So I'm like, fuck it. The Tale of Dueling Neurosurgeons, great book, great little pop science book. Sam Keen. This whole shelf is kind of sciencey if I remember. and that would stand to reason. The Medusa and the Snail by Lewis Thomas. Yeah, bro's got the lab coat. But yeah, bro is writes about like just nature, but really actually more like biology, like cellular stuff and just life and life systems, but coming from someone who actually knows it. And he just writes about it beautifully. So, and they're like little essays. Nagel's Mortal Questions. Did I finish this book? I'm pretty sure I read most of it, but we did a podcast episode on it. But yeah, basically he just has these really fast, like, what is life? What is death? What is absurd? Death, the absurd, moral luck, war and massacre. That'd be a good one for ruthlessness in public life. Interesting. Panpsychism. What is it like to be a bat? Blah, 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 blah. So he just, some essays are better than other. But no, this book is fire, at least from what I've read. So, The Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, I haven't read this yet. Maybe, I feel like at school at one point, is this Boo Radley? Or is that's not To Kill a Mockingbird. No, sure, that has nothing to do with it. Or does it? No. I'm pretty sure, okay, just disregard that. But, Harold Bloom, genius. So, I don't even, yeah, bro, this is fat. Come on, was I serious? Oh, that's interesting though. It's like, there's just a bunch of, like, I just saw Homer, Victor Hugo, Christina Rossetti, Thomas. So, okay, it looks like there's like little profiles of people he considers a genius. And then, yeah, so the Tao of Physics. I was on the fence. I talked about this at one point. I was on the fence about this book until I saw, I know it's here. I have been reading the book. It's Joseph Campbell. I've been reading the book with amazement and the greatest interest, blah, 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 blah. So he liked it, got the approval. Again, Tao of Physics, like I said, science, mythology, where those meet. Okay, next. Cosmos, we've already talked about that. The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene, another pop science book. I think, no, I would have remembered if I read this. I have not read this. But I've heard good things. Let me know if you've, because also by Brian Greene, if you read anything by him, was the end of my last, I'd be starting and stopping sentences. The fabric of the cosmos, time and there's a Google sticker on it, but I bet it says space, time, and the texture of reality. Hold up. Too much work, but whatever. So now we have James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time. I think that's essays. The Remains of the Day, Kazuo Ishiguro, which I've kind of been hearing, I feel like, mixed things about at this point. So let me know what you thought about Remains of the Day, by Kazuo Ishiguro. Virginia Woolf, A Writer's Diary. I should do that. I should actually read that. Well, first I need to read Virginia Woolf at all, which is crazy. So I should start with To the Lighthouse, rather. We got Nabokov on, what is it? Hold on. Lectures on Literature. Austen, Dickens, Flaubert, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just a bunch of authors. The thing about this book is he's talking about specific books, and you know how we do on Big Nate's Book Reviews, which is home of the best book reviews. There are no spoilers allowed. So honestly, I feel like I need to read all the books first, and I do. And that's good. That's actually good motivation. But the point is, I'm trying to look at the contents. I haven't done it yet. Jane Austen, Mansfield Park, Charles Dickens, Bleak House, Flaubert's Madame Bovary, Kafka, The Metamorphosis, James Joyce, Ulysses, whatever. So anyway, if those sound of interest, you could look those up online. But like if you read those books, but Existentialism by, I don't even know, but it's like a collection. I remember, man, that was a fun class. Every time I went to this class, I was baked. It was hotboxing. There was a homie that I would link with because he had a class and I had a class. Without fail, we would go to the parking lot and then just hotbox the whip and then pull up just reeking. And it was funny, bro. It was fun, like that. But he was equally weird. Bro was crazy. Like, I think I said this at some point, but the first day of class, he had a cup of coffee and like just scans and stares at the room. I swear for like a minute, or I was like physically uncomfortable because he's just like not saying a word. No one's like, we're all just like, what the fuck? And then he said, welcome. I'm like, okay. Bro was in the parking lot next to me, also hotboxing the whip. And he had like this ponytail and shit. Bro was sick. Okay, that is the final stack. That's the whole, there's a whole nother stack below here that you can't see, but I think that'll be quicker. So, okay, let's keep plugging right along. All Quiet on the Western Front, American classic. Pedro Paramo, I would say. Which is, the book's called Juan Rulfo. Man, I remember this book. See, this is why I should have done it, because I forgot, like, this sounded super sick to me, and people were recommending it, and it just sounded like right up my alley. If I'm not mistaken, it's kind of like surreal as well. So and like someone likened it as well to like Cormac McCarthy. So I'm like, bro, this sounds fire. So I'm leaving this one out. I'm leaving that one out. Oh, Marcus Aurelius Meditations. You know, I've said this before, but I know that it's overrated. But this is one of my favorite books of all time. Oh yeah, Rumi, Selected Poems. Yeah, Rumi's fire. Let's try A Mouse and a Frog. A mouse and a frog meet every morning on the riverbank. They sit in a nook on the ground and talk. Each morning, the second they see each other, they open easily, telling stories and dreams and secrets, empty of any fear or suspicious holding back. To watch and listen to those two is to understand how, as it's written, sometimes when two beings come together, Christ becomes visible. The mouse starts laughing out. Okay, I hear too, I'm pretty sure they like gentrified this or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure bro is in like Allah. I'm pretty sure it was Allah. So Allah, we'll say Allah becomes visible. Okay, actually, I'm not even gonna do this because we gotta hurry this up way quicker. So, but Rumi, shout out to Rumi. Let me know if you have any specific poems that might be better. Hallucinations by Oliver Sacks. I fuck with Oliver Sacks. I feel like that's one of the books. Not this, but he wrote The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. That's one of the books that really got me interested in cognitive neuroscience, and I don't think it inspired me to get to go to school for that because I'm pretty sure I read it in school, but great book. And I hear this is a good one too, Hallucinations. He's just another really great like science communicator. And this shit, and you know, cause cognitive neuro, I haven't even talked about cog neuro, but that would be a really interesting topic for this channel. And like, I actually went to school for that shit. So, especially with reading, the cognitive neuroscience of reading. I was going to do a whole episode on that. Dude, I did hella research on, because there's like a bunch of really interesting like fMRI studies on like reading and literature and changes on the brain. I should do that. Okay, but so anyway, back on track. Victor Hugo's, I got corrected on this by somebody, Les Miserables. I think that's what it is. I still have not looked it up, but they could not believe I actually pronounced it the way I did, seriously. But up next, Albert Einstein. Wait, hold up. That looked almost like reversible. I was like, look at that, whoa. But out of my later years, and the amount of quotes I've been seeing from Einstein lately, I'm like, I think I need to I bet he might actually just be a good writer, because these are essays that he wrote. Like, look, Convictions and Beliefs, that's like a whole section. Self-Portrait, Moral Decay, Message for Posterity, On Freedom. Dude, I don't even know if I've seen this. This looks fire. Science and Religion. What? Okay, yeah, you already know. Science. Bro, there's one called literally E equals MC squared. That's fire. On Education. Bro, My People, Why Do They Hate the Jews? Just What is a Jew? Where Oppression is a Stimulus. That was a title of an essay. Wow, this looks fire. The question is he actually a good writer? We'll see. Because from what I've read, hell yes. So... okay, we are almost there. Irrational Man, I read that for a class. Existentialism. Like I mentioned earlier. Okay, welcome back everybody. My memory card ran out, as it always does. I need to get a new one. It's on my list of things to do. But I took the opportunity I took my dog for a walk. I actually put these books away, put them in boxes. And I took there's this whole other bookshelf. I'm not even going to show it. I'm just going to bring it. I brought it over. We're going to just redo this. If you want to see that, get to my bookshelf tour. You have to get there. And on top of that, I had some dark chocolate. I got some for the road, so to speak. And I refilled the bowl. So we're gonna hit this one time, and then we're right back into it. So let's go. But okay, let's finish this stack that was Ooh, nice dark chocolate. Let's finish this stack here. Let me scooch over. That before my memory card ran out. Artful sentences, right? Mm-hmm. Syntax as style. I did during my PhD program, you get free tuition. So I took this just out of, I don't know if you get credit. Actually, yeah, you do get credit, but I chose to audit it just because I didn't want to do all that shit. So I audited this class called the art of the sentence. Yeah, that's what it was called, Art of the Sentence. And it was actually super cool. And even just the idea of syntax as style, like when you think about someone like Ernest Hemingway versus the style of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, those, or even any of the Russian, or we'll even go the extreme example, Dostoevsky. All three of those authors have extremely different styles, and these are people who once you read them, you can instantly pick out who they are. And anyway, that whole idea of just and then also in a more mechanical sense, just sometimes you just read shitty writing is just this clunky, convoluted. Doesn't make sense. It's just a struggle to get to a sentence. Whereas someone like Tolstoy or Steinbeck, you just glide through the sentences for real. So, But it was a cool class. Shout out to, I forget her name. She was a cool professor though. As you can see too, we're actually getting onto like my fiction section. So the story behind this book is that Celeste, I'm pretty sure this is what happened. Celeste Ng, who wrote Little Fires Everywhere, I think it was something like, I never actually read it, but for some reason I was like looking at her page, and maybe I wonder if she had like Twitter or something. And I remember she had this part on her website, like frequently asked questions, basically, what are your favorite writing books? And she was like, by far, hands down, this is the one. I think this is the book. I'm quite sure. And I started reading it. Let's see how far I got into it. I got 90 pages in. Yeah, no, there's highlights and everything. Yeah, I got 90 pages into this. And I really liked it. And if anything, I just wish I would keep doing this. I just, whatever. You get to it. I take and go as I need. The textbooks, it's okay. You can just kind of come, like I said, come and go. Not so with narrative. Oh, this was a good one. House of Leaves by Daniel Linsky. Polarizing book. I think I mentioned this last time. It's just one of those books that really plays with form. Like, so much of this book is written. There's like 2 parallel stories going on between like the text itself and then the narrator who like stumbles upon the text and is like, I think he's like writing his own, and his answer, or like his writing is in the footnotes, and then it gets really crazy. It starts, yeah, you see, it gets, even that's borderline spoiler because it gets wild. But yeah, the idea is, I always like this thing, or like this trope, where the idea of this is they're at this house, and just basically the dimensions don't make sense. Like, they're measuring the outside and then the inside, and it's like, oh, okay, if the outside's 8 inches, the inside should be 6 inches or whatever. But they're just like drastically, actually they might not even be drastically different. It might just be like marginally different. But then things start going out of control. And then there's also like the actual narrator himself, because that's reading this. So, and then the whole thing is like, I think, writing about this like clip, like this little film that was kind of circulated around about the House of Leaves. Okay. Julian James, The Origin of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. Another one of those science consciousness books. I don't know, like I said, I'm sort of more skeptical about that whole principle nowadays. So now we got The Noonday Demon, and I don't know, I actually got this as like a book recommendation from, I think, like Sam Harris on depression, but I've also heard of it, and it also National Book Award. Oh wow, I didn't even see that. An Atlas of Depression. That almost kind of looks like Atlas sitting too, doesn't it? Actually, Atlas stands, huh? His whole thing is he holds it, so that don't even make sense. But actually, I don't care. I'm not gonna read the back of that. We got more shit to do. So let me grab more of the books. First, actually, before we get into the other books, I wanted to say, so this is what ended up making the cut, because I put them in boxes and shit, and I'm keeping these out. The Hero with a Thousand Faces and The Interpretation of Dreams, because I'll probably do reviews on those at some point. And then I'm taking Einstein and Pedro Páramo. So let me know, what would you have brought in that list. But okay, now we're on section 2. So okay, again, kind of more fiction or writing stuff. How to Write a Sentence. I think my friend Jake recommended this, I'm pretty sure. Once again, we have a case of Schopenhauer's just because you buy a book does not mean you appropriate content. I haven't read any of this yet. But it was when I was in this whole, like, art of the sentence. And I mean, it is interesting to just, like, read this. And honestly, I have no regrets about getting this, I guess. I will totally read this at some point. But too many books, too little time. Apparently, this is a kind of a famous book, even just in, like, introductory, like, college English classes. Strunk in White, The Elements of Style. It's just a little handbook with, like, little heuristic rules that basically address like a lot of the core writing mistakes people make. Then kind of related to Aristotle's Rhetoric. I do think nowadays too, more than honestly, what turned me onto it was MLK Jr. Like when I'm reading him, I'm like, this is just like straight pure rhetoric. And then I'm like, just rhetoric is an idea, political rhetoric. And then like when you think about it, and then even like propaganda, which I think I have, I have it somewhere, because when you think about it, propaganda is rhetoric, and like especially in today's day and age, it's so important. And then I got this a while ago actually, just because I'm interested in that stuff. But I might leave this one out. The thing is, Aristotle is kind of boring to me. I started reading the Nicomachean Ethics, and it wasn't. Well, I was gonna say it wasn't boring, but like I was hot off Plato, who's like very narrative, and like the whole thing is like an actual conversation. Aristotle is much more systematic, but I didn't get super far, so like I feel like you need to warm up. I didn't give him a full chance, but I feel like I tried reading Rhetoric right when it came in. I was like, oh, but no, I'll set that out. Because that could be good. It's either Homecoming. Yeah, no. So the other one, Homegoing, by what is it? Ghazi. I've heard good things about this book, and I feel like it won some award. Maybe not, but either way, I remember this being kind of popping at the time. And yeah, no, I'm still interested. I think she actually just came out with another book recently too, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, then we have Ernest Hemingway's, what is this? The short stories. The first 49 short stories with a brief preface. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know if I've read, like, I probably have read some of this. I have a couple Hemingway short story books. Like, I'm sure I've read some of the stories that are in this book, but The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber, I actually remember that one being really, that's one of my favorite stories by him. The Capital of the World, Snows of Kilimanjaro, yep. What is it called? Hills Like Elephants, that's the big one. Whatever, there's a bunch of good ones in here. So that's Hemingway short stories. Flannery O'Connor, The Violent Bear It Away. Yeah, I haven't read this, but I really like her short stories, and I really liked Wise Blood. So okay, and then we have Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Again, do you see how many books where I'm like, bro, how have you not read that? But there's just too many. Like, I'm working on it. That's the thing. I'm actively reading that list. It's just, the list is so long. This is like a literary magazine. I don't even really be reading them, not gonna lie. The Kenyon Review. No hate. Because when I do read it, I feel like I like it. I just, like that's, up and coming, like I said, contemporary writers. I'm pretty sure they have like photography, poetry. Ooh, dark chocolate. I keep forgetting about this. So, yeah, Stephen King on writing. This is a really great book. This is probably my favorite thing Stephen King's ever written, to be honest. Not only I remember it being half about writing tips, and I remember them being really good and insightful, but also half, I think, like autobiography, like his own process, like his own history with writing. So, which I feel like is classic in Stephen King style. It's like tell a writing book in a narrative fashion. So. Oh, I remember this book. That's crazy. Yeah, wow, that's wild. Why We Write. Wow, that brings some memories back, because this was in community college. I remember, I think this must have been like my first semester of college ever, which was, yeah, like I said, I remember Phoenix Community College, and I'm in the bookstore, and I saw this book, and I'm just like, I don't know, I was feeling myself, and I'm like, oh, this looks cool, I'm gonna get this. And I remember reading it and actually being super inspired by it. And I even see, yeah, Susan Orleans, Jane Smiley. I feel like I just saw someone else. Catherine Harrison, James Frey, Jennifer Egan. So, yeah. And I remember it was like super inspiring. And this was one of the books I actually read where I'm like, bro, because they're all talking about you got to put work in. Like, you got to treat it seriously. You got to give it your all. And I'm like, this is kind of around when I must have decided that I was going to do English literature, just because I'm like, I'm going to devote myself to writing. Like, if I do some other, because I was going to do business. Everyone is asking me, what are you going to do? Business. Now, I don't think that would have lasted, to be honest. But I'm like, if I do that, realistically, I'm going to stop. Because, like, creative writing. I've always kind of been into writing. But I'm like, realistically, I'm going to stop, versus if I do English literature, I'll be reading, like, some of the best lit, and that'll inspire me to read. And And I remember, I feel like at one point I was looking for this book because I missed it. So, and honestly, I don't even know if it's that good, but it came at a good time in my life. And then Writing to Learn by William Zinsser. Oh, well, yeah, that's actually right. William Zinsser. And he did On Writing Well, which is just that's probably my favorite of all the writing books. And Writing to Learn, just the idea, I don't even think I really read the back or anything, but he has played with the idea, and actually, no, I have read parts of this, but when I bought it, just the idea of writing to learn, it's something I've realized, because I do like essays, and just in general, like whenever you try and write something, like you can have the half-formed notion idea in your head, but to put it articulately into words, you have to think deeper about the idea. And like oftentimes you'll find like a sentence isn't working, like you want to be able to say this, but it's like you have to actually go and look the information up. So it's like the writing actually inspires the learning, and it's just like itself makes you think more about it. And I think I've read part of this, and I don't even know if that's what it's about necessarily, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. So, okay. Next stack. Okay. Dark chocolate break. Matter of fact, I'll smell, and there wasn't much coffee left. You can't even see. And I do the French press, so I get grounds at the bottom. That's grounds right there. I mean, not the whole thing, but. So. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit this one. I'm gonna hit this one time, and then we're back in it. Wow. Well, hey, if you're still here, I appreciate you cleaning my books, or not even cleaning, but unpacking my bookshelf with me. Hope you're vibing as well. But without further ado, let's get back into it. Okay, yeah, this is just like a whole lot of Hemingway. What even is this? Cross the River and Into the Trees. Hasn't read it. Green Hills of Africa. Haven't read it. Men Without Women. I did read this one. I think it's is it short stories? Yeah, it is short stories. Like I said, I've read some of his collections before. To Have and Have Not. Oh, I did read this one. Yeah, that one was crazy. I see. This is something interesting too, just about reading in general. Is like you can remember a book and remember liking it even, but like I cannot tell you what the characters like. If I saw them, I would probably remember. But yeah, anyway. So I have read this and I actually do like it. Okay, hold up. I bet bro's name is Harry. I bet its name is Harry. Oh, that's okay. That's about. To Have and Have Not is a dramatic story of Harry Morgan, an honest man who is forced into running contraband between Cuba and Key West as a means of keeping his crumbling family financially afloat. Okay. Yeah, so, okay, like I said, I really kind of don't remember, but I did fuck with it. For Whom the Bell Tolls, God's Honest Truth. Wait, is my bookmark still there? It is. Oh, Magic the Gathering card. Let me know if you play Magic the Gathering in the chat, because you know your boy does. Okay, so I got 220 pages. I believe this is Fidelitas to where I really stopped. And it wasn't even bad. I just I had other shit going on, or better books to read, or just I don't know. And I do think this book is slower, just from what I remember of the books. It's definitely like his longer book. It's almost 500 pages, which means it probably needed to get edited. Nah, I'm just playing. But so that's For Whom the Bell Tolls. Let me know if I'm wrong. The Old Man of the Sea. People hate on this book. I actually fuck with this book. I mean, it's nothing like crazy. But it is I think it's like a very nice, simple, but insightful tale just about this old man in the sea, as well as also just being a story about the old man in the sea. Because like at some point he says, I think, he has a dream about sharks. I think he has a dream about a shark or a tiger, some shit like that. And it's like, everyone's always like symbolically like, oh, what is the shark or the tiger? Or is it like a three tigers? I forget what it is. But he's like, no, I think he said something to the effect of like, the tiger was just a tiger. And I don't know what it actually is, but it was, anyway, it's just a story. He also pays attention to just the story in itself. The Sun Also Rises. Yeah, I also fucks with this book. But yeah, no, this is one of his bigger books. And it has been a while since I've read it, but again, I remember liking this one a lot. But I still think I like A Farewell to Arms better. But I need to reread, to be fair. You come to appreciate a book more when you reread it, and I've only read this once, so. The Garden of Eden, Hemingway, no, haven't read it. Master and the Margarita by Bulgakov, another book where it's like, bro, what are you doing? How have you not read that? In fact, here, I'll put that in the stack, along with the picture of Dorian Gray. So, okay, cool. Imagine Me Gone. I will read this at some point because I really fucked with Adam Hazlitt. It's just there's so many books to read. You feel me? And this was given to me by a viewer, and for that I appreciate it. And like I said, I will be reading it. But I honestly don't even know what it's about. But I read his book of short stories, You Are Not a Stranger Here, and I was really kind of blown away by that. As far as contemporary writers go, and the short stories, that's easily got to be one of the best I've seen. So. The Plague, Albert Camus. Don't know what it's about. So, I bet it has something to do with the plague, but Camus, existentialism, fill in the blanks. Ooh, precious. This thing is falling apart. Notes from Underground. This needs to just go. I'm not gonna. I care way too much about my reading experience to fucking play with it. Even Crime and Punishment was rough because my copy has like the text that smears, and I hate that shit. So. This is a giveaway pile. These little kind of, those intros to knowledge and utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is Katarzyna de la Lazari Radek and Peter Singer. And then this is Jennifer Nagel. And I'm like, I wonder if it's any relation to Thomas Nagel. But probably not. So, okay, then we just got a bunch of kind of like miscellaneous. The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Disha Filia, National Book Award finalist. Blues Hanging. I don't even know. I think honestly this was like a cover. I bought the book based off the cover. I honestly don't even know. I know nothing about this book. The Book of Daniel. E.L. Doctorow. I've heard good things about him. This is some old head shit though, but Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath. Yeah, I remember liking this book too. It's been a very long time since I have read this book, and I feel like I'd probably appreciate it more now because it is like slower. Yeah, definitely slower paced than something. I would say even than like East of Eden or like Of Mice and Men, of course, but. So that's that. And then again, kind of like those creativity books. I do like, you can hate if you want, but I do like the self-help creativity. And I fucked with these. Like if you want inspiration, like I keep these around for, in fact, I might like set this aside because it's just like little shit like this. Like it's all just about putting in work. Show your work. That's the idea. Put in a little bit of work every day, progress. You can see the progress. You can only learn by doing. And then, like, you know, don't wait to put out a YouTube channel, for instance, until you're perfect, absolutely perfect. Because, you know, my early videos sucked, but, you know, show your work. Look where we at now. we got 2-point-something K subscribers. And the next coming up is 1 million. So shout out to the Big Nate gang. In fact, like I said, smash that subscribe right now. Okay, now we got the next stack. So this is going to be a long ass video, bro. I said, ooh, look, dark chocolate. That's funny. Notice I don't say milk chocolate. I don't fuck with milk chocolate at all. I mean, I will eat it, but dark chocolate is way better. Sally Rooney, and in fact, here. Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? And Evelyn Hugo, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And these are, you know, like, what would you call them? Like book talk kind of books, and I don't know. Yeah, they seem cool. I'm totally open to reading these, and but I have heard mixed things. I feel like about Sally Rooney. I would have guessed I would have liked her, but I don't know. You let me know. Would I like Sally Rooney? And then my sister liked this book. This is just a popular book. Like, yeah, it's not the fucking Odyssey, but it still looks like it would be a good and interesting book. And I feel like it's, yeah, I don't know. Fuck it. Let me know if you read either of those. So, okay, boom. Up next, we have The Strange Order of Things. What does that say? Life, Feeling, and the Making of Cultures. Antonio Damasio. I'm pretty sure my friend Ian recommended me this book. Yes, I'm quite sure. So shout out to Ian. And we'll see. I haven't read a thing about this, but I do know Antonio Damasio. He also has a book. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a very famous book in cognitive neuroscience. So I've heard of Damasio from the cog neuro stuff, and then he wrote this, which I think is more about investigation into homeostasis, the dynamic equilibrium that ensures human survival, blah, 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 whatever. So, as I lay dying, Ants Bundren is a fool, and that's all I got to say. Also, The Fish, you already know what I'm talking about. My mother is a fish. I think that's what it was. My mother is a fish. If you know, you know. Okay. The 5th season, M.K. Jemisin, fantasy series. I think it got the winner of the Hugo. I think the whole trilogy got back to back Hugo. So that's crazy. Big if true. Where the crawdads sing, Delia Owens, who is now, if I am not mistaken, like not guilty, but like wanted of murder or like accused of murder, and Loki looking like she did it. So. I remember I was seeing this at Powell's. I think, I was with my sister and she was thinking about getting this, and the dude next to us is like, yo, I wouldn't get that book. You heard like what she did, right? So crazy shit like that. But which let me know if you read this book. Well, let me know if you read this book. Is it even good like that or no? So up next we have Song of Achilles, and I'm down to read this just because it's like Achilles lore, and if it's Achilles lore, I'm down. And it's, you know, a very popular book. Winner of the Orange Prize, and I've heard from a trusted source. In fact, Raina read this and she liked it too. Again, wow, like I said earlier, it's not the Iliad, but it's still going to be a good and fun and potentially insightful book. And up next we have the Bronte sisters. So we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. What do you guys think? Who's better in the comments? Which should I read first? Which is it, Emily or Charlotte? Which one's better? Let me know. So. Okay, and then it's on to the next stack. Let's go. Get some. What's good, everybody? It is a couple days later. My memory card refreshed. battery charged. It's a new day. I'm feeling fresh. I got the doobie and everything ready here to be sparked, and we're just gonna pick it right back up where we left off, of which I have no idea where that was. But I like preloaded some because I had a whole nother bookshelf here that I'm starting to work on. I pretty much got all this little twisty one. Like I said, if you actually care about the layout of it all, get to my actual bookshelf tour video. But like I said, I'm finna hit this and we finna just jump right back in like we never left. As always, comment, let me know what you guys are reading right now. Let me know if you've heard any of these books. Just let me know what's good with the Big Nate gang. Okay, and then without further ado, let's just get right back into this. So, there's no order to this, by the way. I don't know if I made that clear. I'm literally just grabbing shit, really. This one kind of had themes when it went back when we were doing it, but at this point, no, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it. Colson Whitehead, The Underground Railroad. I'm pretty sure this was just selected for her top 100 books of the 21st century by New York Times. I think it made that cut. Once again, have I read it? No. It is winner of the Pulitzer Prize, though. Let me know if you've read this, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll get to this anytime soon, just realistically. Okay, here we have 2 of the 3 books in the fantasy series, the Red Rising trilogy, which I remember, it's been a while at this point, but I remember really liking it. I read it in my early college days, and I just remember being glued to the page. Just like one of those books that, I feel like it's rare that this happens for me, but one of those things where it's just like all day you're just waiting to like get back home just so you can read that book. Or like just being able to read this, for instance, for like a couple hours at a time. Again, it's been a while, so I don't know if I can speak to that. I feel like I've actually heard mixed things about this, but at the very least, it was one of those like immersive suck you in things. And I don't know, I personally have fond memories of it. You'll notice I'm missing Red Rising, right? Where's the trilogy? I lent it to a homie who said he would be interested in it. Bro, I'm sure he did not read it, and I definitely didn't get that back. So thanks for nothing, Prado. But if you watch this and you see it, give me my Red Rising back. Okay, up next we got the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver, I always get that wrong. Who she did, I'm pretty sure it was The Bean Trees, right? That's her big one, but this also was another big one. But really, I remember what made me want to get this though was, insert literary pun here, said I'm pretty sure that she just fucks with Barbara Kingsolver in general, but like she really particularly liked this book, so I'm like, okay, reliable source, let's do it. Cherry, this is a book someone in my program actually when I first got here told me to recommended for me to read. I think it's like nonfiction to do with like the opioid pandemic, or like whatever you would call that. A young medic returns from deployment in Iraq to 2 things: the woman he loves and the opioid, that sounds so much worse, opioid crisis sweeping across the Midwest. Heroin addiction, robbing banks. Okay, this actually kind of sounds crazy. So let me know if you've read Cherry by Nico Walker. So, okay, No Impact Man. My sister had me read this at some point because she read it for a class at some point and she liked it. And I thought this was a totally fun book. It's just this dude who basically tries to be as environmentally friendly, like no impact. I think it's like literally like the idea was like net zero carbon footprint or some shit like that. It was actually, I remember really quite liking this, and just the idea that like, okay, if you try and live perfectly environmentally friendly, you just realize how many like basic services and needs and daily things that you do are actually just bad for. So I think that's partly like, I don't know, one take of this is that we can do a lot individually to bring about change. Another take is that society is just set up in such a way that it's like you're just fighting tooth and nail to be able to live environmentally friendly. So let me know if anyone's read that. A Long Way Gone by Ishmael Bale, right? Ishmael Bea. And he was just, I mean, it's pretty much memoirs of a boy soldier. It's exactly what it sounds like. He was recruited or forced to work. Honestly, it's been a very long time since I've read this, but I just remember it being a super interesting inside look account of like literally being a child soldier. Some crazy shit. It's like, I would actually I would call it like a war book. Like if you're interested in like war literature, I would say this is that, but kind of with their own personal spin on it. The Chronology of Water, I believe it's called, by Lydia Yuknovich. I'm just putting titty straight in your face. But yeah, this is also a book that was recommended to me. I can't remember by who. But I do remember there was like this serendipitous thing where I read it. Honestly, I thought it was okay. I thought it was kind of mid, if I'm being all the way real. But still cool. Like she is a beloved author, and especially here in Oregon, because it turns out that she's actually like a famous sort of like Oregon native writer. And I was applying to this Oregon Literary Arts Fellowship, like this creative writing fellowship. I applied to it every single year I've been here, and I did not get it. I guess my last cycle was this last one, and I didn't get it. So, but she won it, and I remember her talking about it. And in fact, I'm trying to remember if reading that was what inspired me to look up, that made me discover the fellowship in the first place, or if it was just like a whoa, look. I think it actually might have been the former. So, anyway, yeah. Let me know if you read it, because I know people do like this. I just remember not being particularly hot on. Like it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't bad. Like I would say literally it was good. Like, but we'll leave it there. Okay. Up next we have On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and this is a book. Yeah, I still haven't gotten around to it, but I hear it's actually. I feel like it's kind of stood the test of people. People seem to be pretty hot on this book. I don't think it's all hype. And yeah, Ocean Vuong, I've done a book review on him, actually, one of my OG ones, Night Sky with Exit Wounds, which is like, I think most people know Ocean Vuong for being a poet. And this was one of their, he seems like a they, them, you get what I'm saying. But, so, it's one of their attempts at, I don't even know if that's right though, so, but anyway, bro wrote, actually, wow, this shit goes deep. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, I have no idea what it's about. But although I feel like the bigger book now is Time is a Mother, and I don't know if that's just because it's like more recent, but that might be the, whatever. It's okay. I've talked about this book at some point, so let me know if you've read it though. Let me know if you've read it. I feel like I haven't heard from Ocean in a bit, so. Okay, Cry the Beloved Country, which I don't know. I feel like there's some amount of people who will get this. I had to read this in high school, and it was quite possibly like one of the most boring fucking books I've ever read. I would consider just getting rid of this book, actually, although it is one of those things where it's like, I wonder if it's, if I reread it now, I might like it. But prime example of why the fuck would you give this to a high school student? Like, that's, nah, it's not enough. I couldn't tell you what it's about. I just remember it being extremely boring. The Forest for the Trees, I got this from, it was one of those things, too, where I was looking at, like, authors and books that they recommend, kind of like with the Celeste Ng thing. In fact, I'm trying to remember if I got this from her. But it is, it's just a book on publishing, basically like the publishing industry from someone who's worked in that whole, like yeah, literary publishing for a long time. And I don't know, it's like, it's her own journey, but also just, yeah, an editor's advice to writers. And I read this whole book, and I really quite liked it. I found like there was some insightful stuff, and honestly, it was really cool to see what goes on behind the scenes and like what it takes to actually become a published author. So that was cool. On top of it being like very instructive from just like an aspiring professional writer, it was also just a really, and then of course like good editing insight. Just like the whole book was actually pretty cool to read. So okay, I'm about to take another hit real quick. Okay, up next, and I mentioned this book last time. The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, which basically just talks about all these cognitive neuroscience disorders, which are, so this is a good example. The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat is based off this story about this guy, Dr. P. And he's like super smart. He was like a musicologist, like super witty, social, intelligent, right? He's an otherwise normal person. The one thing he has is, it's like called visual form agnosia or something like that, which is essentially like you can physically see an object and you can describe it, but you just can't identify what the object actually is. So like The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat had something to do where I think he like literally just mistook his wife to be like a standing coat rack or something, and like just grabbed her head. Honestly, I forget exactly what it is. The thing that stood out to me about that was, there's a part where he gives him a rose, and he's like, okay, what is this? Oliver Sacks gives the guy the rose. He says, what is this? And he's like, it's got the symmetry of a platonic solid, but I see a long outstretched green, like a wand, and then I forget exactly what he says, but it's something like, it's just completely out of nowhere. Like, he mistakes a glove. I remember he's like, he thought it was like a change holder, like you could put all the different kinds of change in the fingers of a glove. And I think he actually did halfway guess the rose, but like the point is, there's all these fascinating cases where people get brain damage and they have these really interesting corresponding like cognitive issues. There's this other disorder called like hemispatial neglect, And it's like when you just can't mentally picture like the whole, like you can see everything, but like the left half, for instance, of your visual field just doesn't make sense. Like they had this lady draw a clock, and I think this is another study I'm thinking of. I don't know if this is from that, but it's like she literally tries to like fit all the things of a clock like in the like right semicircle of it, and it's just like it's this weird. And you give her a plate of food, that was crazy too, and she'd only eat half of the plate. And like she'd still be hungry. And what's weird is like she can still see, like her vision is perfectly intact, but she just can't register that there's another half of the plate. And they would like, the doctors would literally have to turn her plate around, and then she'd have to eat, and they would just keep doing it in order like that. So anyway, that was a cool book, and he's actually a fantastic writer. I should, and that's why I should read Hallucinations by him. So I think this is from the cover, Guy de mes Poissons. How's that for pronunciation? Because of course it was Guy. I did think it was Guy de Maupassant or something. But yeah, what is it? Bel-Ami? Bel-Ami. I remember liking this book. I cannot remember a thing about it. I think he's like a womanizer or something. Hold on. But it was in my like Hemingway days, and I remember it being like it fit that. Classic novel of seduction, intrigue, and ruthless social climbing in Belle Epoque, Paris. Yeah, whatever, bro. No one gives a fuck. Okay, then we have Royal Flash. This book, because it's a whole series, bro. So let me just say, like, I remember this book, at least this part, which is this is one that would not fly today. At parts, it's low key funny, but bro is just like a total asshole, and that's essentially what it is. He is like an absolute asshole, and he just finds himself getting in the most crazy predicaments, also by always fucking other people over. It's like comedic. It's almost like slapstick. Bro just finds himself in these absurd situations and then does absurd shit to get out. And I do remember it being kind of funny, but yeah, let's just say there's some he's not a cool guy. Okay, Climbing Mount Improbable, Richard Dawkins. Still haven't read anything by him, but I do have a characterization of him, which is like the ultra rational science biology bro. But I'm down, I can get down with that. I have no idea what this is. Oh, but that's a funny, look at that. And I was seeing some pictures, like, you see? So, let me know if you've read this. People fuck with Dawkins. I think he's a crazy person now. I think that's the thing. Up next is The Western Canon by Harold Bloom. I honestly am not even sure what this is, except I think he just talks about the people whom he believes belong in the canon. Yeah, Shakespeare, center of the canon, The Strangeness of Dante, Ulysses and Beatrice, Chaucer, Cervantes, Montaigne. Yeah, shout out to Montaigne, Milton, Satan, and Shakespeare. All right, and we are back. It's another day, another dollar. Got the doobie right here, ready to be sparked, and then we just finna get right into it. So let's hit this. All right, hope everyone's doing all right. Hope everyone's having a great day. I am as well. Like I said, it's another day, another dollar. So let's get right into it. Up first, we have Teaching a Stone to Talk by Annie Dillard, and I mentioned this book already at some point in the video, but this probably is my favorite collection of hers. And Annie Dillard to me is just one of the great, one might say all-time great, but definitely like alive today writers that talks about just really just the beauty of nature, but not even just the beauty of it, like the transcendence of nature. And I think I said this earlier, like nature as God, and that really is what it is. When I read this, I feel like I'm reading a sort of gospel, but a gospel for nature. So shout out to Annie Dillard, fuck with her. And yeah, I should read more by her. So if you have suggestions, I did Tinker Creek and then this. So if you have suggestions for what's next, I'll actually take that. I have no idea what this book is. Sue Miller, While I Was Gone. I think, yeah, precisely. I was gonna say it feels like a book I saw at Goodwill and just got because it was so cheap. Oprah's Book Club, and that was basically enough for me. I really don't, let's, just for fun. Okay, this is, I would say this is an official pet peeve of mine. When they don't include a summary in the back, it's just quotes like, look at those fat ass, I'm not fucking reading that, bro. Matter of fact, you lost your chance. Sorry, you snooze, you lose. Up next, Jennifer Egan, A Visit from the Goon Squad. Is this a movie? Because I would have guessed I read this in my film class, but I don't think that's right. Winner of the Pulitzer Prize? National Best... Because I remember not being super big on this. It's very like, if I remember... Because it's been years at this point, but kind of like experimental, edgy, like postmodern, playing with what you can do in a novel, but... Benny is an aging former punk rocker and record executive. Sasha is the passionate, troubled young woman he employs. Here, Jennifer Egan brilliantly reveals their blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I actually read that full book and was not impressed. But anyway, boring. Sorry if there's merit to this book. Let me know if you actually read it and you liked it. But The Glass Castle. Oof. That was like an anime blood spew, that's what it is. Because if you read this book, you already know. It's just one of those memoirs that just, however bad you think you got it, just makes you appreciate how good you have. And this is like an excellent example of just like the underbelly of just society, of just the world and life in general. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's kind of what's that other book? Oh, A Child Called It. Like those stories that are just people just full of, real abuse and trauma of all different varieties. And I remember, and then also like her dad was an alcoholic. I remember that being like one of the most interesting parts of this book is her characterization of her dad and just like this slow, not even slow, but just this rapid descent. And then how just alcohol will take over and ruin a family and just, yeah, this one's depressing, but truly, and I feel like it's a pretentious thing to say, but like, this is an important book to read. Let me know what you think. I, Claudius. Yeah, also we gotta start going faster because I don't even think I'm halfway through my books, which is crazy. I, Claudius, ancient Rome fan fiction, but yeah, no. Oh, hold up, check me out. I think Robert Graves wrote this book. Watch me be wrong. Yeah, Robert Graves. Okay, because I was saying, I think at some point that Robert Graves wrote some other... Okay, yes, it makes perfect sense. So, that also makes sense because he did the Greek myth. So, Tiberius, Claudius, Drusus, Nero... okay, yeah, whatever. I've actually just heard it's good. And again, from Insert Literary... I remember I got this specifically from Insert Literary Pun here. So, alright, cool. I think Matt's Bookshelf did a thing on this too, but honestly I can't recall it at the most immediate moment. Let me know if I should read that. A Tale of Two Cities. I remember it was even in high school, and this is when I'd be like not reading and shit. And I cried at the end of this book. I won't talk about like that part specifically because that would be a spoiler. But I do remember this book being like written horribly boring in a way, in a sense, not even boring, but like in the sense that just big words. I'm pretty sure he got paid by the word, one of those like serial newspaper. And it's funny too, if I may just tangent for a moment, how like because Dostoevsky and them do this too, where they have like serialized publications. And on the one hand, it's like, I wonder how much that plays with the form of the novel, like when you have to do installments, or when you get, for instance, paid by the word. But also it's like for instance, with the Dostoevsky thing, like would he have written or not even him, because he probably would have, but just are there writers like this who were like motivated to finish the novel because they had to, because I feel like a lot of people will give up on that shit just because, it's hard, but perfect is the enemy of good, that kind of thing. So anyway, whatever. Tale of Two Cities. Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. I don't think I've read this. More than 2 million. Okay, don't give a fuck. Because we're gonna get to the bottom of how to write a perfect back cover, and I guess that's fine. Have been sold. Okay, so it's popular. Worldwide, there are 8 million copies in print in 50 different languages. So that's you spent the first 2 sentences just singing its praise, just saying you should really read this book. This is Chinua Achebe's masterpiece and is off. Okay. Again, second paragraph. A simple story of a strong man whose life is dominated by fear and anger. Things Fall Apart is written with remarkable economy and subtle irony. Uniquely and richly African, at the same time it reveals Achebe's keen awareness of the human qualities common to men of all times and places. So honestly, I don't really know what this is about. I feel like it has to do with, I don't know if colonization is the right word, but maybe even just like urbanization, just like a way of the old ways changing to the new. Okay, George Orwell's 1984. Holy shit, wow, this is super, hold up. Look at those. Look, that's an annotation right there. See, I hate this about myself, and I still do this. And I like even to the because now I take notes on the computer, and I still do the equivalent of this. But yeah, I just underline everything. Like it's obnoxious. Like, boy, what are you doing with these? A buddy of mine, Ian, he said if you highlight everything, you've highlighted nothing at all. So, but yeah, I had to read this in high school just like everyone else. And yeah, I remember liking it. Honestly, this would be one of those books that I'd be interested to see how it holds up today. And because it's all political, I wonder if it would be like, you know, extra reminiscent or... Yeah, you know what I mean. The Crossing, Cormac McCarthy. I fuck with Cormac McCarthy, however, I have not read The Crossing. And it's the second volume of the Border trilogy. Fulfills the promise of all the pretty horses. And wait, is this a sequel? No. And at the same time gives us work that is darker, blah, blah, blah. 16-year-old Billy Parham captures a she-wolf that has been marauding. Okay, yeah. I'm like, I know because there is the Border trilogy, but I don't think, are the characters common through that, or is it just like loosely? I always understood it as it being, I did fuck with all the pretty horses though. But yeah, at this point I'm just rambling. Gertrude Stein, who was up in that Hemingway era, didn't Hemingway and Gertrude Stein chill and shit? But yeah, the autobiography of Alice B. Toklas. So that's already interesting because it's like, an autobiography. I'm presuming this is fiction. Autobiography of somebody else, and it's Gertrude Stein. Was Gertrude Stein postmodern? It gives me postmodern vibes. But largely to amuse herself, Gertrude Stein wrote the autobiography. This is a quote, by the way. You'll notice I'm reading a long quote. Using a sounding board. Who had been okay. Up next we have Hell's Angels by Hunter S. Thompson, and I actually did start this book and probably got 50 pages in. And I was just like, honestly, I specifically too at this point, there were multiple books I wanted to read, and this one just it wasn't making the cut. But it did seem cool, and I do like Hunter S. Thompson. But yeah, from what I remember, it was the gonzo journalism thing where he went to go investigate or report on some topic, event, something. And he sort of incorporate his own experience and his own insights as well as like reporting it. Because this one I remember being, at least from where I started, much more journalistic than Fear and Loathing. So, okay, Modern Speeches, the Penguin Book of Modern Speeches. I've barely made it a dent, but it is a big book. Let me see. Yeah, not even 50 pages. But, you know, this is just shit where it's like I'll hit the table of contents and just like read a random thing every once in a while that piques my interest. So I do recommend that book for instance, high reading. Okay, we just pulled a fresh stack, and at the very top of that stack is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. So if you follow me on Goodreads, you'll know I got quite far into this book. But I ultimately DNF'd. My girl made this too. Isn't this funny? It's like bookmarks, but she did one for Pachinko too, and it's beautiful. But so okay, this book was like I really liked the beginning. I felt hooked. It was like really interesting ideas were going on, cool stuff was happening, but I feel like it just sort of dragged on, and there's like all these sort of loose ends that don't seem related at all. And then I was like co-reading this with my girl, in fact. And she was ahead of me, and we were like, we kind of had the same feeling about this, where it was kind of slowing down and just like nothing's actually, like things are happening, but nothing is like happening. And I'm like, but she, you know, it's a long book. I'm like, surely you're a couple hundred pages like further. And she was kind of saying the same thing. And honestly, I'm just like, you know what, I'm okay on it. So, which is a shame because I remember a viewer got me this. I still enjoyed it. And I'm sure, and I know, in fact, that people love The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. It's his favorite book it's their favorite book by him. But it just, you know, it wasn't speaking to me, at least at the time. But, you know, let me know if you thought otherwise. Heart of Darkness, Joseph Conrad, which is, what's the focus, fool? Nice, that actually worked. This is what Apocalypse Now is based off of, right? Although I haven't seen Apocalypse Now, and I do know the Sympathizer talks about like is kind of a play on Apocalypse Now. It's like one of those meta, you know, they'd be playing on each other. But yeah, I don't even care. I think everyone's heard of The Heart of Darkness. Here's like a text, just like a random textbook, the Norton Anthology of English Literature, the Middle Ages, Volume 1. English literature students will be shuddering in their boots right now at the sight of this textbook. But I should revisit this one day because it's just an anthology of excerpts of like fire literature. But I don't know. It's one, honestly, I just find books. This one's okay, but the other one, I think we might get to it at some point, is just very unwieldy, huge pages, paper thin paper. It's just, you know, realistically, I'm not doing that. It's like a textbook. But up next, what is it? Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. And I don't know a thing about this either, but I know, for instance, Jake and Marlon from Jake and Marlon Read Dead People fuck with Charles Dickens, and I believe they like Bleak House and I believe Great Expectations. So that's enough for me. That's enough for me. Literary criticism. This was a textbook I had to read for... because, you know, when you think about it, like English, you know, what do you actually do in an English degree? Like, what's English 101, 102, 201, 202? I remember, like, the 200 levels is when it got into, like, actual literary criticism. Like, this was the textbook we were assigned. And there was all these different sort of, like, perspectives, like the psychoanalytical, the historical, the feminist, the postmodern. You know, they have all these different lenses which you can sort of, like, approach literature from. And that's, like, the whole... You know, I think actually, I would say a degree in English literature ultimately ends up being like literary criticism. Because like when you write an essay, you're basically making arguments or like, you're writing essays very much in the style of that. So, that's interesting. But along with also just reading a lot of good ass books. Up next, Waking Up by Sam Harris. I know Sam Harris is a polarizing figure to a lot of people, but from what I've been exposed, which I think is very different than what he does now, it's all about like, you know, meditation. And like he's the one that actually kind of got me into neuroscience and cognitive neuroscience, like the relation between the brain and consciousness, and then again like very spiritual, but from like a secular kind of approach. So anyway, I won't harp on it, but Waking Up is just all about basically meditation and the benefits of it. And I remember liking this book quite a bit actually, and like spirituality just in general. But secular spirituality, because I think actually the whole thing is like, you know, you can achieve what most religions are after, but in like basically through meditation you can have these feelings of unconditional love and spiritual transcendence and, you know, all that good stuff. So cool. And honestly, that's a meditation app which I use. Well, I don't do it every day. I wish I did it every day, but great meditation app. Black Boy by Richard Wright. I don't even know who, what, when, where this came from, but Richard Wright grew up in the woods of Mississippi amid poverty, hunger, fear, and hatred. He lied, stole, and raged at those around him. At 6, he was a drunkard, hanging about in taverns. Surly, brutal, cold, suspicious, and self-pitying. Black Boy is Richard Wright's powerful account of his journey from innocence to experience in the Jim Crow South. Oh yeah, dang, that sounds crazy. And Richard Wright, I feel like he's someone I see that just has like banger quotes. Like, you know, I see him on Goodreads type shit with just like fire quotes. So okay, yeah. Let me know if you've read that. How We Die. There was a period of my life when I went through a sticky note phase, but like I had to my Blood Meridian copy actually. I that whole thing was just unreadable because I had same thing with the highlighters. Literally, I just used a whole pack of, especially with a book like Blood Meridian. So I actually remember having to one by one to take those out so I could reread it. But anyway, How We Die. This book I read in conjunction with, or like right after When Breath Becomes Air, and they're both books about, I would say, like a medical professional's, like, you know, especially like someone like a doctor who their like job is to just be surrounded by death. And they have like very interesting perspectives, and like How We Die too, you know, just the notion at some point he talks about like there being a sort of like a quality of life drop off. Like, you know, we try so hard to think that we can outplay death or like treat the body in such a, like if we could only find better and better treatments, surely we could make life last longer. But it's like, nah, death is kind of an unavoidable thing. And it's just also the bodily nature of it too. Just like, you know, like we really are in these very fragile bodies that at any moment could just turn on you, heart attack, cancer, anything. And it can just happen like that. So Reflection on Life's Final Chapters, National Book Award. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And I remember fucking with the book quite heavy. You know what? Hey, just for fun, let's turn to some. Okay, so I pulled up like a little sticky and they're talking about like they took this girl Katie to the hospital And then it says, although she was clearly pulseless and brain dead on arrival and beyond clinical death, the appalled emergency room did every possible thing to bring her back, even with the certain foreknowledge that their attempts would be futile. When they finally gave up, their frustration and rage turned to grief. And then, like, I actually just happened to turn to the next page, and it's Montaigne. I saw Montaigne, and it says, Montaigne recounts an experience of being thrown from his mount by a horseman thundering full speed in the very track where I was rushing. Battered and bleeding, he thought at first that he had been shot in the head with a harquebus. But to his surprise, he remained quite calm. Not only did I make some little answer to questions when they asked me, but they moreover tell me I was sufficiently collected to order them to bring a horse to my wife, whom I saw was struggling and tiring herself. If I see Montaigne, I'm reading it at the end of the day. But that is How We Die by Sherman B. Noland. Up next, A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest Gaines. Yeah, Oprah's Book Club. At some point, I did read this. I'm quite sure because I remember in like my freshman year of the English Lit degree, I actually recommended this because somehow I think it was like the class got to pick. It's like you could nominate books, and then if people were interested, they could choose it. And I apparently liked this enough that I chose. Hold up, my dog is snoring. Hey. Yeah, you're okay. I can hear. I got ears like that shit for a hawk because bro starts going crazy with the snoring. But I liked it enough to recommend it to the class, and then this group chose it, and specifically like this one girl took the lead and chose it, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. How did you like it? She's like, I didn't really like it that much. I'm like, oh. So and perhaps this stands to reason because I honestly don't. Let's see. Let's give this a try. See, look, I like when they get straight to it. A Lesson Before Dying is set in a small a small Cajun community in the late 1940s. Jefferson, a young black man, is an unwitting party to a liquor store shootout in which 3 men are killed. The only survivor, he is convicted of murder and sentenced to death. Yeah, I do remember in my head, I wasn't sure, so I didn't say it, but I remember it had something to do with like someone being sentenced to death. So, yeah, sounds like it'd be profound. Sounds like it'd be a good book if you ask me. Annihilation. I have not read this book, however, by Jeff Vandermeer, who's like very big. What is he, horror or sci-fi? I think this book is like horror or sci-fi, but I do know Vandermeer definitely writes intros to like surprisingly like weird collections of like horror stories and other things like that. Like I've seen him give a little forward kind of thing. Annihilation ended up being a movie too. I have not seen or read it, but for some reason like I've almost been compelled to recommend this book to people just because I've heard such good things about it, and it's like short and it's a movie, and I don't know, something about it is just, I actually really quite want to read it, and for some reason I just have this feeling that it's gonna be really good. But it's like a short little thing too. So if you're in that vibe, that could be good. And let me know if you read this. Okay, I feel like my time is running down on the clock. Yeah, I think I only got a minute or two left. But so Dune Messiah, which is the second, right? Or is it Children of the Dune? No, Children of the Dune is third. I read Dune Messiah, so yeah, the second. So funny enough, well, I won't even get into it. But yeah, I liked Dune Messiah. I liked it enough. I would say I did like Dune better. But some people disagree with that. And I did stop reading after this one, just for what it's worth. But not even because it was bad, but actually because I thought the book ended a certain way, and then I'm like, I'm good. But I can't speak too much about that, or it's going to be an implied spoiler. Parallel Worlds by Michio Kaku, who is like a popular scientist who's big in, I think, like string theory. It's just one of those pop science books. Okay, that wraps it up for this session, and I'll be right back, and we're just gonna get right back into it. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, it's your boy Big Nate interrupting this broadcast to inform you. For one, I'm all moved in. I had a safe trip. We're all unpacked. Everything is good. But this video turned out to be way too long, so I'm interrupting this broadcast we're gonna go ahead and call it here. And this is gonna be a multi-part thing. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching, and I hope you tune in next time. Make sure you smash that subscribe. Follow Big Nate at Big Nate's Book of Views on Instagram. Get to my Goodreads, get to the Discord, all of that shit. So thank you for watching Big Nate's Book of Views, home of the best book reviews.